What up my beautiful people, I'm Dave and welcome to my channel. I'm a freelance director and photographer based in London, England, and I've decided to take you guys along on my journey. On here, I'll be making a variety of different content surrounding the filmmaking and photography process. So if you're into gear reviews, tutorials, behind the scenes breakdowns, follow along, subscribe to the channel and see what we get up to. Alright, to kick things off, let's talk about something integral to the filmmaking process, and that is color grading. Yes, I know, color grading is maybe not the first thing you think of when you think of the filmmaking process, and there are loads of other elements that go into it, from writing, directing your actors, lighting, lens choices, editing, but color grading is that little cherry on top that can take your project from great to out of this world. And yeah, color grading is an extremely powerful tool if used correctly. By no means am I an expert. Usually I work with colorists that are 10,000 times more experienced than me and people that actually know what they're talking about. But I think I've got a decent grasp on coloring. I use DaVinci Resolve. If you don't, highly recommend it. Unbelievably powerful. I'm not endorsed by DaVinci, but I love it. You can do everything from your selects to your editing, VFX, sound design and coloring, all within one platform. So yeah, highly recommend DaVinci, check it out, I think you're going to like it. First, I want to preface, this video is not a full DaVinci Resolve tutorial, neither is it a full color grading tutorial by any means. But what I will do is give you a bit of a breakdown of how I use my notary, how I grade my Flog2c footage from my X-H2S, which is the camera that I'm shooting on right now. And in particular, I'll be talking about how to get that thing that everybody seems to want these days, and that is the film look. There are loads of different aesthetics you can create while color grading, but at the moment everybody seems to be talking about that film look, the film aesthetic, with the signature grain, blooming highlights, a bit of halation. Obviously, everybody knows shooting on film is extremely expensive, so the next best thing, use the tools available to you to create a film look when color grading. Now, there are loads of different ways to create a film look, from free tools within DaVinci to external plugins, but the one I'll be talking about today is Dehancer. Now, I have to preface, Dehancer did send me their software to test out, and I will get to keep a license after making this video, but they do not get to see this video before it goes live. Everything in here are my honest thoughts on the software. I've been playing around with it for a little while now. The thing I like the most about it is both the efficiency with which you can create film looks and the flexibility of the types of film looks you can create within this one plugin. If you do want to check it out, they did give me a 10% voucher for you to use in the description box below. I get a little bit of a commission if you purchase the answers through that link, so if you want to check it out, go ahead. If not, totally cool. There are many different ways to create a film look for free, but for now, let's check out Dehancer and dive straight into DaVinci. Alright, we're now inside of DaVinci Resolve. I have preloaded a project with 3 different shots inside of it. I've got one close-up, one behind the legs slider shot, and one top-down reflection shot. All these shots are from a spec ad that I recently shot with my good friend and DP Justin. We shot this at Park Village Studios. Okay, let's jump right in. First, I'm gonna apply this power grade, which I've created for Flog2c since we shot this commercial on a Fuji X-H2S. The main thing I want to mention here is I am basically doing my main color correction on the actual Flog2c footage before converting that Flog2c footage into Rec 709 using this conversion LUT that I purchased from Joel Formularo. So this basically is a LUT that takes the Flog2c footage and converts it to an ARRI color Rec 709. So without anything else, this is sort of the conversion LUT that you get. The key thing is everything before this conversion LUT is where you do your basic color correction. Everything after the conversion LUT in a Rec 709 format is where you do your look creation. This film look node is where we're going to be creating our film look using Dehancer. You can see a quick preview if you just turn that on and off. But yeah, basically this is just a conversion plus a slight softening node. Since the X-H2S footage tends to be quite sharp, I have kind of built-in softening effect that just ever so slightly softens details on the face. The node tree is structured in a way where I have a node in the beginning that is for exposure and contrast. Currently there's nothing on here, but this is where we're going to be making any kind of tweaks to the overall brightness of the image, the contrast level, kind of getting that basic correction to where we want it. Likewise here, we're going to do the same for color balance and saturation, so you kind of temperature and your tint. Next note is noise reduction. This is currently turned off because the second I turn on noise reduction, which I've already pre-set up in here to every 3 frames, motion acceleration type better. The second I turn this on, it's going to be tough to play the clip back because this takes a lot of processing to get rid of all the digital noise. So I really only turn this on right before I export. I'll double check that the noise reduction is doing a proper job, and then I'll export it with the noise reduction on. But I keep this off while I'm grading, so I can actually play my footage through properly. Next, I've got 3 power windows. The first 2 have nothing on them. This is basically if you want to do specific kind of adjustments to specific images of the shot. I have these in a parallel node tree set up over here. The only one that I've pre-created but turned off at the moment is a vignette. Before I'm going to turn on my film look node, I think it is always good to make your general corrections first. So if I look at this image, I quite like how moody it is, but I do feel like the shadows are a little bit crushed. First, I'm going to be going to the HDR wheel because they give me a little bit more of a fine selection when it comes to the different brightness areas of the image. So what I will do is I'll slightly increase dark and the shadow section. Let's see what it does. Yeah, it already takes, especially if you look around here where the face feels a bit too crushed previously, it just takes it out nicely. So this is before, this is after. I think that's already a lot better. You still got quite a moody image, you still got true blacks within the kind of hair, but I think that helps a lot just to get some kind of brightness into his face and not have the image too crushed overall. Simple adjustment, but I think I'm gonna go with that for now. Balance and saturation, I'll take the gain wheel and just drag things a little bit, ever so slightly even, towards the green, because his face is still fairly warm, but now we've got some nice color separation with some greens in the background. I think it looks quite good. You can spend ages making micro adjustments on everything, but as this is just a quick introduction, I will leave this as it is now. To be honest, the way this looks at the moment is already quite filmic, I think. This is mostly because we used vintage lenses and also the way we lit the scene. But if you want to give it a proper film look, this is when we dive into Dehancer and our film look node towards the end of the node tree. So if I turn this on, this is the general Dehancer look applied. Firstly, I think this image is now quite dark, so I'm gonna increase the exposure compensation quite a bit. I think roughly here looks fairly decent. And let's have a look at the color temperature. I think we can warm this image up a little bit, maybe somewhere around here. And then because we're now looking a bit too green, I think, especially with the adjustment I made before, I'm gonna go a little bit more towards the magenta, somewhere around there. Immediately I'm noticing this grain is too strong for me, so I will go down and I will go to 50 ISO 35mm grain. This is gonna give me a much finer grain, it won't be as strong, and it'll still give me a nice sort of film look, but without having too strong of a grain. I will also turn down the amount a little bit, maybe somewhere around 25%, but we can always tweak this as we go along. Well, halation, I think something that's quite nice. You get that nice bloom on the highlights. Again, all of this is subjective taste, so do what you think looks good. Vignette, if you enable this, you basically get a vignette on your image basically right away. If you look at the image now, it feels a little bit too desaturated for me and a little bit too intense in terms of the look. Main thing to remember, you don't have to have Dehancer at 100%. So what you do is you go all the way down, go to output, and you've got total impact. So what I usually do is I turn this all the way off, which basically means there's no impact on the image at all. And then I start dragging it up until I reach an amount that I like. For me, I think around 66 seems good. I like this quite a bit. I do think we're still a bit too desaturated. You can work on color separation and color boost, etc. in here. So I will turn this on and I will bring a little bit of saturation into the image. That does quite a bit already. I like the bloom, but the bloom is a bit too strong for me now. So I will go into the bloom section and drag this down a little bit. And then also in the expand section, I will not bring the white point up too much. Here we go. I think that is quite a nice look. Clearly this is far from perfect. I did this quite quickly, but it just shows you how quickly you can create a film look within Dehancer. And if I full screen this, this is before, this is after. I quite like this. You can obviously pick different film profiles. I'm on 250D because that's kind of the color temperature we shot at. And yeah, let's jump back out of the software. All right, back in the real world. I hope that breakdown of my notary structure, as well as an in-depth look into Dehancer, was useful. I'm sure I'll be making more videos about the grading process in the future, so if you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. I will either answer you there or make a separate dedicated video about some of the details I didn't get to cover in this video. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks for watching the video. Stick around if you want to see more filmmaking photography content like this, and in the meantime, stay safe, be kind to each other, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!